Which one are me and
Legoland.
you? Okay, if I'm driving to Florida tomorrow, where are me or and you going? Are we going to Legoland? Are we going to Peppa Pig Land? Or are we going to Gator World, Gatorland? Where are we going?
Oh,
Pick one.
I'm gonna say Gatorland
Yes.
because I just I feel like my like 80s Crocodile Dundee self, even though it's crocodile versus gators.
Tiptoe through the window, by the window, that is where I'll be. Come tiptoe through the tulips with me. Oh.
Welcome to another Believe Vacations article series. My name is Brian Pavlik. Thank you so much for coming along, always being a believer with us. And if you notice, the lady next to me today, she's very familiar because this is now her third video with me. It is my good buddy, Kim Haig. Hey, Haig.
Hey.
That probably gets old too. Whatever. Kim has done photography at Disney with us. We talked about club level service last year, and now it is springtime, and Kim decided to go down. Well, relatively go down for you. It's kind of close. But for the rest of us, she went down to EPCOT, my all-time greatest fun favorite park ever, because they have just started the Flower and Garden Festival. Yes, another festival at EPCOT. Isn't it amazing? She's going to tell us all about it because this actually is a pretty good festival. One, it's the springtime. The weather's starting to warm up a little bit more, relatively speaking for Floridians, of course. But it's got a lot of cool things. And, you know, you sit there, you go Flower and Garden. Yeah, I don't know. Is that for kids? Is it for adults? What do they have? Is it just, Kim's going to tell us all about it because it is more than just nice smells and sounds and sights. There's a lot of cool things to do. So first of all, Kim, how you doing? And how was your trip? You just got back. And how was it just overall? How's Flower and Garden these days?
Flower and Garden Festival is my favorite EPCOT festival. Every year, Festival of the Arts tries to knock it off, but no, when it comes back around, it solidifies why it's my favorite. And it is actually hurting me that I don't have Flower Garden in my background, but technology did not cooperate today. But it is my favorite festival. There's so much to do, whether you like gardening and planting and everything or not, you will leave there probably thinking you have a green thumb at least. You're thinking and hoping, but
yeah. And that's my thing. Like you just mentioned kind of where you want to go with this thing before anybody shuts off the video. You know, oh, is it just for gardeners or anything like that? No, it's not. It's not. Kim just has a love for it. Like we said, she's grew up with a family who has greenhouses and stuff. That's fine. That's Kim Haig. But for you, the ideal person, you say, okay, I'm going to Disney during the middle of this festival. Should I even waste a day at EPCOT? No, you should. And here's why. Okay, Kim, let's set the record straight. Just tell everybody right now, what is the Flower and Garden Festival before they shut off this interview?
So EPCOT Flower Garden Festival is one of the 4 festivals that EPCOT has, but it does offer, well, it's showing you like all things fresh EPCOT is the official hashtag is fresh EPCOT. So you have topiaries of your favorite Disney characters. That's, that traditional flower and garden type festival thing you think of. There are the outdoor kitchens that are featuring more of your garden fresh menu, light, springtime, thinking along that lines. And then there's the more educational kids aspect. There is a scavenger hunt, but it is Spike the Bee this time. So it does give you, kids some like insight on the different things that they're seeing in the garden and focusing on that. And then it also focuses on wellness. So there are some different gardens and areas where, activities and just areas to relax that focus on wellness as well. So you kind of, it really is that ramp up to spring. Or as you want to call like the comfortable summer of Florida, without it getting incredibly hot. So it is that first for a lot of us. I mean, I am a Floridian, so it is that it actually is nice out. We're enjoying it. It's starting to get warm, and it just feels like that introduction to spring. And for anyone that's coming down for spring break, it's the perfect time because it's feeling nice and warm for you all when you're down here. So,
Absolutely.
but it's just colorful and vibrant and, everything that you want it, what you would expect it to be.
Yeah. And I was following, and of course, as we always do, we run everybody's contact information. If you followed Kim or followed the leave when she was down there a couple of weeks ago, you would have seen all the nice, fun things, the checklist that she had for different things that you could do while you were there, pictures of the topiaries, just walking around, showing you the crowds and all that. And as Kim mentioned, the highlights are the topiaries. That's how those things got started. It's fun to see Donald and or Chip and Dale and some things and things like that. But Kim, which one these year, what are your favorite ones to see? Are there classic ones that you like to see every year? Like, there's the Donald one, there's the Figment one, or is there one this year that you're like, wow, Brian, you should see the Beast? I don't know.
I didn't really notice too many new ones. I thought Cogsworth and Lumiere were new, but it had been as people politely reminded me, they've just been gone for a few years. I still think Lumiere. Cogsworth was old, but Lumiere might have been new. But
I'll
they
take
did
your
this
word
year.
for it.
I know, you're right. What? EPCOT. Don't refer to Brian for EPCOT. But I will say that since my daughter was born, we had the classic Lion King moment where my husband held up Grace in front of the Lion King topiary where Rafiki's holding up Simba. So we now get a picture of that every year. We are missing 1 year when, during the COVID shutdown, but rest of it, we have it. So this year, I'm not sure how this is going to be done. It may just be her sitting on his shoulders and pretending to hold her up. But I mean, I'll have to post the progression of it. But from when I think she was 8 months old, the first photo that we got. So we've got that, now she'll be 5. So we've got, a few years here of it. And so when she's like 15, 16, I'll have to see how that looks. But so that's a sentimental one for us. But
well, you mentioned it. This is just quick question. Do you know how long this festival goes to? I know it started basically at the beginning, late February, maybe even in early March. How long does this festival go? Doesn't it go right up to the summer-ish, like school being out?
It does.
Yeah.
So since reopening after COVID, the festivals are lasting a lot longer.
Yes.
And so went from March 2nd last week, we're recording this last week,
right.
Up until July 4th is the last day, actually.
Wow.
So
okay, so it does go farther.
I will say that if you want things looking the most vibrant, I would probably say really view it before Memorial Day, because it's gonna get hot that last month. Not that Disney doesn't do an amazing job at like swapping out plants, and I've seen them even do that in the less than hot season when it's perfect growing conditions for all of these. They're still swapping it out, but let's be honest, flowers that are meant to be spring flowers are not going to look as pretty no matter how many times you swap them out come that June, into July. So definitely, the photo worthy, the most vibrant and the mass effect is going to be, I'd say, probably up to Memorial Day, but you can definitely still enjoy it. The topiaries will still be beautiful. Just, all those extras may not be in their full glory that you see like right now,
like on the banks and of the grass.
Exactly.
And those are the stunning bit. I've seen your photos when you were out there, just how awesome it looks.
I know, and that's what I wish was behind me right now, but
we'll
it's
put
not.
pictures in your article.
I know we will. But that's those ones. They do, like I said, they do a great job, and I feel like every day when I'm there is grounds and maintenance people, fixing up things, trimming things, cutting things back, replanting, areas that, I've seen them pull whole sections and replant,
right.
But it's going to look the best before Memorial Day. And honestly, that's when the festival used to go up until was about Memorial Day. I think it's still a great added value having it, that extra
Absolutely.
month. But if you are the diehard that wants to see it in its full glory, try for before Memorial Day for sure.
There you go. So if you're traveling anytime in the next couple of months, in particular the spring, early-ish summer, You got a good opportunity to go. Kim, you've mentioned this whole first part of this whole thing about the topiaries, but you kind of touched on the booths and the health options and all those good things. If you would just explain a little bit about that as far as your food, your beverages, some things that maybe you even tried or that you enjoy when you go when it comes to food and drink, and then even touch on a little bit of that wellness, if you don't mind, because I think that's a concept I don't even think really knew existed. I knew there was more food and beverage type opportunities, but that health thing is really cool, especially with my medical profession and my real-time job. But explain just a little bit about the food, the drink, and the health booths, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So I want to say about 2011 to 2012, they started introducing having the outdoor kitchens in there. So, I mean, if you are new to Flower Garden, you'll be not even think this skips a beat. This is a normal, EPCOT festival.
Right.
However, the food options do tend to be more of the fresher ingredients. They're not, those heavy holiday dishes, the traditional ones. But usually they don't have my favorite one. Here I am talking about fresh holiday, or, fresh dishes, but they used to have this giant macaron lollipop in France, and it was amazing. And it's not there this year. So I am a little sad about that one. However,
EPCOT, always disappointing people, but go ahead.
I know, buddy. No, anytime they take away a festival favorite, there's always something replacing it. But one of our family's favorite booths is the Honey Bistro, which is where the Pop Eats was this past year, where the Figment popcorn bucket caused all the stir. But if you're going into World Showcase from the land area, it is right there, where the two intersect. That is, they have a really great chicken flatbread, which is really kid friendly. They have a honey cheesecake, which I'm pretty sure my daughter ate the most of, and last year, and didn't let us have any. And then they have if you like spicy, and it's not super spicy, but kids don't necessarily like it, there is a jalapeno honey spoon bread that's really good. It's kind of like a cornbread. So that's always a must do for our family. And then right across the way is the citrus booth, and that one has some really good, a lot of new dishes this year. Had a crispy pork belly dish. It had a rare tuna dish. So things that you're oh, this isn't a country or something like that. It's more along the line of, this all has honey in it, this all has citrus flavors. And stuff like that. So there is an arepa where the usually the Brazil and Encanto booth was this past year. There's an arepa booth, and there was a little Encanto garden, really playing on that, Encanto theme and banking on it, and complete with a little succulent tree that had a hidden Mickey succulent, which was a little cactus, which is really cool. So and that's playing into that, there's those little hidden gardens around all the time where you can sit, relax, you're really submersed in a bunch of flowers and just a little oasis where you wouldn't feel like you're in a theme park. And one of those areas is Advent Health usually has an area where it gets kids playing. So there's a whole new kids playground that they actually hadn't finished it the first day of the festival when we were there, but you could see this big, looked like almost like a hot air balloon, peeking out right there along that pathway between the land by where the Starbucks is. So that's always been where Advent Health has had their kind of wellness area, talking about different aspects of maybe mental health and wellness and relaxing. And this year looked like they were doing definitely some kids play area and kids health. So I'm really excited to go see that and see what that looks like, because I know that there will be plenty of hours being spent playing there.
So this is a more kid-friendly festival than, say, maybe an international food and wine festival or something like that. You would think so?
I think overall, yeah. I mean, all the festivals definitely can be kid-friendly.
Yeah, common misconception of all these festivals.
Common misconception. They definitely can all be kid-friendly, but I feel like this Festival of the Arts and Flower and Garden set themselves up a little bit more with some of the the kids' play areas, the interactive areas for them to enjoy.
And I always enjoy painting at the eye farts. There, I said it.
Yes.
Sorry to
Yes,
get in the middle of your drink there. And that's why she's coughing. She was around all these flowers and stuff. I'm trying to
I
get
know,
her on her
right?
Zyrtec and histamines, but she
Zyrtec,
doesn't listen to me. That's okay.
Sponsored by Zyrtec.
As far as crowd level, talk to me a little bit about this. Now, of course, like you said, now it just seems like if you go to is there even a time when there's not a festival at Epcot these days? But if you had to compare the day you went, could you compare it to a busy day at another park or something, just to give us some perspective of what's kind of the crowd going to be like when you go to these things? And I'll have a follow-up question about kind of where people are going when they get there. But just overall, what's kind of the crowd level in your eyes as a mama, making sure you got to navigate everything?
Yeah. So we were there opening day of festival. That's always going to be more crowded.
Sure.
Just period. Between all the bloggers and media people, trying to be the first to do everything. It's always going to be that way.
Right.
However, I would say, we were there on a Wednesday. That's going to right there knock out a bunch of crowds.
Yeah.
So the nice thing about this festival is it is long. So it spreads people out. Any of the festivals, when you're there on a weekend, you're going to have a lot of locals there just enjoying it. So it's naturally just going to be heavier traffic. But if you have the luxury in your schedule and you're able to schedule it so you're there midweek, it's always going to be best. So you're going to get the less crowds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely. And the good thing about Epcot, just with the layout of it and how large it is, it's all spread out. It's not just like this is all in one certain part of the park where you open all the food and wine stuff, or all the booths and stuff are over here in the topiaries. I mean, it's all over the World Showcase and Future World, correct?
Yes. There are topiaries spread from the front of the park all the way, to the back corner of the France Pavilion. It's throughout. And the nice thing is a lot of the topiaries are themed to the area that they're in. Winnie the Pooh will be in England, and Remy and all the Beauty and the Beast characters are in France. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs are in Germany. So you might not realize that, one area was like Germany. Some people don't realize that Snow White takes place in Germany. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
So it is pretty well themed in terms of that. One really cool one to get like a really cool picture is Buzz Lightyear is right in front of Mission Space in that little area. So you see the planets behind it. They do a really great job of where they place things.
Mm-hmm.
So that you get that, you see Figment obviously in front of Imagination
Pavilion. Thank you very much. Yep.
Yes. So you see that one, and it's perfectly placed, really for that. So they do keep that, in mind as well, because it just is that next level, layer it adds to. I mean, you could stick, any character. You could stick Mickey Mouse right there in France, and okay, great. But it doesn't have that same feel as, seeing Belle and Beast dancing, right in front of that pavilion there. So it adds to that, but everything is pretty well spread out. Obviously, especially with Epcot having earlier openings. I mean, they opened at 8:30 this past week just because of crowds, and expanding their hours. You're going to have the front only Futureland or Future World is going to be open until 11 o'clock. So basically where you're still going to be able to get to Frozen and the Norway Pavilion, because that's on that side, and then you can get to France, and it cuts off right there. So that yes, the Skyliner in France, and so you can get to Remy's. But that area in between back there, you can't get to. Part of it is that they do a lot of weddings, in that back area. Part of it is that, some of the food areas and stuff just aren't open yet. So you don't have full access the whole day. Right. So if you really want to enjoy the food, the drink, the festivals, the booze, I suggest getting the rides done as much, in the front of the park as much as you can by 11 a.m. And that's where, rope dropping, using your Genie Plus, using, the single rider line, all of those that you can facilitate really comes into play, because you can knock out the front of the park if you do it wisely, before 11 a.m., especially if you're staying at a Disney resort, you're utilizing that, hey, if you can get 3 hours of park time and knock out the 6 rides, or, obviously your mileage may vary, but with a solid strategic plan, you very well could. So.
And that's a perfect segue into that next question. At the beginning of the day, rides more heavy, kind of late at night, the World Showcase is it. Let's say 2 o'clock in the afternoon. All right, visualize where you just were at 2 o'clock in the afternoon when you were there. Are more people doing the rides? Are they doing the booths? Are they doing the food? Are they looking at the where are more people? Or you know what, Brian? It really is spread out.
It does get pretty spread out. By, I'd say, 2 or 3 o'clock. Everyone isn't just sitting in the front. Now there's, the whole, do you go to Mexico? Do you go to Canada? Debate for EPCOT, but a lot of people go to Mexico. Yeah. So I go to Canada first. That's my way. And you get lower crowds until you meet up with that crowd coming from Mexico. About like Germany-ish. But you definitely can get some quieter moments there. But depending what your plan of attack is, if you want to spend more time in the countries, then finish up your morning, try to get as many rides as you can, finish up that aspect, and then mosey on back. For us, the spending more time in the country pavilions and World Showcase is where we are. We'll do 1 or 2 of the rides, but for the festivals, we want to enjoy more of that aspect. So that's usually, we're testing out one of the booths, or, taking in some of the other things, doing the scavenger hunt. That's usually where we are. So now early, like afternoonish, sometimes that can be a good time to get some of those rides done, beat some of the heat, but you still are going to see longer lines, because a lot of people see that World Showcase doesn't open till 11, so they don't even get there till 11, especially if it's opening later. So I know it seems so foreign to me, but so then they'll try to hit a ride from the beginning, and it just congests things.
You're gonna get stuck on Living with the Land if you don't get there early, folks. Get there early.
Living with the Land is a high quality ride. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
It's not. Speaking of high quality, there are other things that are happening at these events. And behind me, I decided to throw my favorite part of the festival, which is the Garden Rocks concert series, featuring all your favorite acts from the 60s and 70s and maybe 80s and 2000s or so, if they are bored and don't need the money. However, every single year we have Peter Noon and Herman's Hermits. We have Mickey Thomas and Starship. Little River Band is this year. Ambrosia, I saw. Rick Springfield. The orchestra featuring members of Electric Light Orchestra, for all of you who are Kim, it brings me to this point. Are there other things like these concert series that are going on that enhance the festival? I'm thinking like maybe some cooking demonstrations or some things like that. What are the things that you see or do you know that are happening during this festival that it is fun? It's also a little bit of entertainment education for adults, if you don't mind.
The big thing that's back this year is the Garden Rock series. In years past, and I'm hoping all the things start returning, there were the interactive, cooking displays, right, and, more of the like gardening seminars, stuff like that, which are slowly coming back. This year, not as many in terms of those, but I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't, in years to come, because they were really popular. They were hard to get a ticket to. And it was, a lot of those were special paid events, that you would get an additional ticket for. In terms of the Garden Rock series, you laugh. I mean, I laugh. We all laugh. We're like, oh God, how much do they need the money? But it actually is really fun because
They're great.
they know exactly why they're there. They're there to play those top 5 songs that it's probably the only 5 songs that half the people know. And they embrace it. And, even if you aren't sitting in the pavilion, you can be, in the US pavilion or American experience, have a drink, or just honestly, we will usually be back there, let the kids run around and, just relax, have some good music. And, that's a good hour that we'll spend, just listening to whatever show's going on, talk, hang out, and do that. So they do usually play about 3 times a day. And there are, for most of them, there are the dine and reserve seating packages.
Mhm.
And you don't necessarily have to spend an arm and a leg for it. Regal Eagle has same day packages for some of the reserve seating, which is nice because for $35 you have a reserved seat and you have a pretty nice meal. I mean, I think it's, drink, dessert, full meal, and you have a reserved seat for one of them. And that's just walk up day of. So it's kind of nice.
Good barbecue and Hey There Delilah by Plain White Tees. I couldn't ask
Okay.
for a better night in the late spring.
Hey, don't knock it. It's fun.
Listen, you mentioned a good point because here I was, you think of older rock stars with COVID and, especially like my good friend Peter Noon from Herman's Hermits living in England. Is he ever going to make the plane trip over to Florida with I love these guys. These people, like you just said, Kim, when they come to Epcot, they know what they're getting into. It's families, it's fun. They're going to go into the audience. They're going to interact. They're going to get the sing-alongs going. They're going to play songs that aren't even theirs just to get people going. I mean, these are fun shows. If you get a chance, YouTube, look them up. I mean, you'll see Kim there a couple of times, I'm sure.
Hey, I have been known to rope drop for a couple of the concerts. It was Eat to the Beat, but it's the same thing. There are some.
Eat to the Beat in Flower and Garden International Food and Wine Festival in the fall. So look for my concerts review on that one. I'm so glad they're back. Yeah, now I'm getting excited about Flower and Garden Festival.
I know. We joked around that. I mean, not to get off topic, but we did like dining package, and then got in line for the next concert for. It was, I think, Joey Fatone and Friends, but it was so much fun though. It was because they were singing, yes, those boy band songs, but then also Disney songs. We had so much fun. So it, like I said, it's really easy to make fun of, but it's a really good time.
You'd be in there in a heartbeat. We would.
Oh, I know.
Well, no, Kim, you're awesome. Again, this is your 3rd time. We have appreciated you. You talk about a leader on our team and a leader with all of our clients. we always say it, but with Kim, it's definitely true. Magic does not start the moment that you see a castle, or in this case, Spaceship Earth. The magic starts the moment you pick up a phone or you email Kim at Believe Vacations. It's just, that is your email address, right? Kim at Believe Vacations.
Yes, I am. Okay, I am Kim. Just regular Kim.
I'm like, you can email them too, but just this one, Kim at go from there. But Kim, as we wrap this up and we get ready to see each other in the very near future, spoiler alert, but we'll talk about that another day. If you just had one thing, and I want you to focus this answer back on the families, because again, I want us to stress it's not just for older people who have a green thumb or anything. It is for families. Just what is that one thing that if you had a mom, a dad, traditional family with kids, what is that one thing that you're saying, kids, here's why we're going to Epcot during Flower and Garden Festival, because they have blank. What are you getting the entire family ready for? Is it a Figment popcorn bucket and standing in line for 4 hours to get that? Or is it, you're getting to see these topiaries and you got to just what is excited that gets Grace excited?
Grace definitely gets excited to see the topiaries. Yeah. It's the larger than life character, and especially she likes to see, she looks for, we kind of do a little bit of our own scavenger hunt, like
Perfect.
we'll point out the colors that are on there, and some of them she is actually starting to know some of her flowers. So she'll point out, like flowers and stuff like that. But we do make our own little scavenger hunt to find, we'll have the book and the little passport book, which is really nice to have. And they do actually have like all of the topiaries listed. So it's a free thing. You can look it up, you can have your own little thing, and you can take away what country it's in and just be like, who can find, which topiary first. And so we'll do that. And plus, she can't read what country it is yet. So we'll be like, okay, look out, which one do you find, and check it off. So for us, since we do go often, it is those special things like, we try the food, we do that, which is all still great and special. We enjoy it. But usually those added things like the topiaries, like the, little scavenger hunts, even if you don't pay for, Spike the Bee scavenger hunt, you can still look at them and find them, in each country. And, just doing those as the extra thing, it makes the kids more active in it. The butterfly garden, that's the other big thing.
I was waiting to get to the butterfly.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't believe the butterfly garden, which, seeing those in a lot of kids' classes, they'll have, the butterflies that they have, and seeing that in real life, and then talking about, okay, let's go plant some of these flowers at home, because she'll see ones, be like, can we plant this at home? Sure. And then, we go home and go to Lowe's, go to, wherever the local garden store. And, we're planting stuff in pots and,
Lowe's on a Saturday, the true
Lowe's on
flower
Saturday.
garden festival that never ends.
I know, right?
Well, you're great. You rock, just like the garden rocks this spring. I appreciate all that you do. I appreciate your friendship and just how you just inspire all of us at the lead. This is one of the best, folks. Please get in contact with her, not just about Garden Rocks Flower and Garden Festival. She apparently is an expert on Legoland. You can email her about that. She loves talking about that.
We sadly can't book it though. So
we can't book it, but she'll tell you some do's and a lot of don'ts. But she is local, so she's within that short drive to Disney, so she knows a lot of the local flavor and flair. If you need some stuff outside of the parks, obviously she's a great go-to, as well as a good friend. So the countdown is on to see you. I can't wait. It's going to be great. Please give Grace a big hug from Uncle Brian. I hope to see her soon too. For you, Kim, I will definitely be seeing you soon. But for everybody else who watched, thank you so much. Get out and go see the Flower and Garden Festival, folks. It's a really good opportunity to not only get into EPCOT, but just something different with a lot of good, just extracurriculars. And of course, the sights and the sounds of a beautiful spring are upon us. And it starts right there at Flower and Garden. So, Kim, thank you so much. I will see you soon. For everybody else, I will see you real soon.
I kiss you in the garden, in the moonlight, and you pardon me and tiptoe through the tulips with me.
He so my brother has in his head, it's like a Boll Weevil going like this or something, like a giant,
like a cartoon.
Yeah, like he's got in his head, it's like that. And I don't know what I had in my head, but so we stop, and it's this woman holding up this Boll Weevil that's this big. My brother, to this day, grudge against my dad about this statue.
It's important.
This is God's
in all of her glory.
Yeah. I feel like it's gotten a facelift since I last saw it. Probably.
As the sun comes up Main Street here.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Thank you for reintroducing me to the Boll Weevil statue.
Right?